Hi everybody, I'm Dave Thomas. Welcome back once again to our final Principles of Learning show for the 2011-2012 school year. All year long we've been telling you about all the principals and all the amazing things they do inside all the buildings of the Hatboro-Horsham School District, and this is our last one. We're going to end with one of the best. Our guest today, Nancy Dougherty, the principal of Blair Mill Elementary School. And Nancy, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Now, Nancy, we start off our show every time the same way. We talk to all of our principals. Inside those buildings, there's amazing things that are happening. I've been to Blair Mill now for over the last 8 years I've been here. There's always something going on.
There sure is.
That's very much a credence to you. So let's talk first about the philosophy of what makes Nancy Dougherty's school Nancy Dougherty School. What do you add to that place, and why is it so much like that active hub of stuff all the time?
I think it boils down to the Blair Mill family. We have it across the back of our t-shirts that all of the kids have and many of the parents have purchased. Yeah. And the philosophy is, it may sound a little cliche about it takes a village, but it actually does. And we find that that passion for teaching and learning and loving our kids, the teachers feel it, all the support staff feel it, the principal, the parents, the kids, and it makes for a perfect combination, the collaboration, so that our kids can be as successful as they have been in the past and continue to be this year and hopefully through the future.
Now, I'm not kidding when I say like over those 8 years I've been there. I mean, I've done everything there from, I've taken a camera on a journey around the world to where over the intercom system you were narrating the whole thing by saying, you know, you were like a flight stewardess. Correct. Taking us on a flight, all these different countries, and then you stop at a classroom, you're in Ireland, and this one now you're in Mexico, and here all these different countries, you're in China, and it was so cool. World cultures were on display. Another time I'm there, you have a mystery chef that are talking to these little kids about, it was someone's dad, but what he does for his living was, he was a chef, you know, and you had that type of atmosphere for people. I've been there for when the butterflies have been released. You know, Blair Mill always has something going on. But let's talk about Nancy's past. You know, you got into education, obviously, to affect young lives, and you've been able to do that in a very majestic way over the time that you've been with our district. But before that, where did you start out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I grew up in Northeast Philadelphia in the Oxford Circle section, and in elementary school I always loved reading, but like most of the other kids, I particularly loved art and recess.
And you loved dresses.
Yeah, absolutely. As you can see, back in the day, that all the girls had to wear dresses, right. And chase looked a little different because the boys were chasing to kind of fluff up our skirts and show our crinolines. So I don't know how many parents or maybe grandparents watching this could appreciate that, but that was the biggie during recess, and it was very exciting. I had a 5th grade teacher who really inspired me. He was ahead of the game in that he recognized that finding the individual talents of his students, and he had 40+ students in one classroom, wow, was an important key to our making progress. He recognized all the unique talents that we had, and he offered leadership opportunities, and something as simple as allowing me to do the bulletin boards for all of science and social studies lessons. I was actually able to apply what we were learning to actually make something authentic that was enjoyed by the kids and other teachers, and that sort of started me on the road. I would say the biggest influences, however, were my parents. My mother taught me about live, laugh, and love. She said, Nancy, you know, you always got to get out there, live life to the fullest. And I feel we do that at Blair Mill. There's always something happening at the mill. She always said laughter is the best medicine, and we have to infuse humor in our classroom lessons, in our activities, and just our greetings in the hallway. Yeah. And then that loving, that, you know what, be kind, be caring, love unconditionally, open your heart, have a big heart. And then I guess the final influence was my father, who actually was a high school English teacher. Oh, wow. Moved on to be an assistant principal, became a principal. So you can just imagine that around our dinner tables, not only did we talk about his personal kids, biological kids, but we had lots of conversations about his kids and what was going on at his school.
So throughout all that, you know, you eventually become a teacher, and then, you know, you get your chance to become a principal. It's your ship. It's your school, it's your ideas, it's your passion, all those things. How does Blair Mill get shaped then after you take over, with your father's influence into that, your influence as a teacher, your young person growing up with those three great attributes, how then do you say, all right, I got to get this stuff into my school? How does that happen?
Well, we continued in the vein that was set by Ellie Seif. She kind of got it started in her 15 years prior to my coming to Blair Mill to set the bar high for excellence. We came into the building, myself, I should say we, and ideas and excitement and sharing with the teachers and staff and parents, where do we take it from here? Okay. What we loved is that shared mission, that we wanted to make sure that we shared with the boys and girls high expectations, a very vigorous curriculum. We wanted to couple that with safety, not only physical safety, but that emotional safety, so that students would feel connected throughout the day and throughout the year. And also to have fun. Learning absolutely can be fun, and that's how we keep our kids engaged and keep them wanting to come back each morning. Okay, time to get up, let's get on that bus, let's go to Blair Mill, and they're ready.
Well, speaking of that, what we do now every show, we always talk with our principals a little bit, and then we start to showcase those great things that they're doing inside the halls. We kind of take our viewers, our audience members watching HHTV inside those walls, because it's one thing to drive by and you say, well, yeah, that's Blair Mill, I heard they do good stuff. What we do here is we take them inside so you can actually see it. And one thing, again, as we start to look at those things, you're going to kind of narrate those for us and tell us, what was this? And one thing I've always noticed about your stuff is they always have really catchy titles. The first one is no exception. We're going to talk about the Boohoo Breakfast. What is the Boohoo Breakfast?
Okay, the Boohoo Breakfast, we wanted to make sure as the kids start the new school year that we also take care of the parents. For some, this might be the first time that their kindergarten child is going off for school. For others, they've spent a long summer with their kids, spending the full day with them at the pool, going on vacations, and it's like, okay, back to school, they're not going to be able to have those concentrated hours with their boys and girls, and they're kind of letting go. So the Boohoo is a bit of sadness. This year, our HSA sponsored a survival tent. We invited all of our parents after they took those final pictures at the start of the day. The kids entered the building, and then all of the parents met in the art room under the survival tent, I have to say in the building because it was raining that day. And they were able to socialize with each other. They received special survival bags with tips on how to handle themselves throughout that morning and throughout the coming of the school year. There were tissues, there were mints, there were all kinds of little special touches, again, showing that we care. It was wonderful that the HSA started a mentoring program, much like an induction with our new teachers.
Absolutely.
We provide them with a mentor teacher. We actually have a program where we provide new incoming families with veteran families. So we make that connection, and then the veteran families are able to work with the new parents, talk about procedures, what happens on special occasions and activities, and kind of hold their hand as they're walking through the first year, and that's been worked out well. And we also were able to have, in August, the teachers open their classrooms, and we had an open house. So students who were feeling a little anxious for the start of the school year could meet their teachers, could check out the classrooms. Some of them were actually filling in their name tags and finding out their class seat assignment before the first day of school. And it certainly helped to relieve anxiety and to rev up the excitement for the start of school.
Great. You're such an idea person. Nancy's just full of ideas. And, you know, and speaking of full of ideas, science fairs are always full of ideas too. A lot of kids come to that. And, you know, I used to always be the volcano kid. I loved it because, you know, of course it would explode and, you know, everything would get messy. But you, I'm sure, have seen things way beyond just the volcanoes. Let's talk about your science fair this year. Some of those ideas, I'm sure they blew you away. Would you share some of those? They
are incredible. Our boys and girls really stepped up to the plate. They had the opportunity to do whatever experiment suited them, whether it was working with plants, working with air and balloons, working with acids and bases, working with electricity. You can see on their faces, they were so proud to be able to present their experiments, walk through the process with the visitors to the fair, and this is just the beginning, so that we do hope they'll continue to do additional experiments and be able to work through the science fairs at the middle school and go on to the competitions at the high school. We do recognize the importance of science and math in our curriculum these days, and it's been wonderful having the FOSS kits in each of the classrooms as part of the curriculum. It fosters investigations, observations, experiments, so each year the children are more and more comfortable. Here we can only imagine what you can do with dry ice,
Yeah.
and it pretty much blew
cool
everyone away.
Yeah, that's cool stuff.
And you can see the faces on the children, they're in awe. And here we have them holding up their certificates, the pride that they feel for having accomplished something, taking the experiment from the beginning all the way to the end. Sometimes it worked out as they had predicted in their hypothesis, and sometimes they realized, let me switch up some of the factors and try again.
Very
so it's
cool.
very exciting.
Moving on to acceptance, I mentioned World Culture Day at the beginning of the program. I was there for that. Very impressive day. Acceptance has always been something that you have preached throughout having your tenure at Blair Mill. This year, the entire district said Acceptance Day is something that we are going to do. What was your version of Acceptance Day like?
I want to share with you that we did not want Acceptance Day to be just a single day in the school year. So what we do throughout the year, we have different programs, school-wide programs. We have our bona fide behavior program. We also have working with the children so that they actually live and breathe the 6 pillars, that they are respectful and responsible and show good citizenship. We introduce the 7 habits of happy kids, and we constantly talk about synergy and working together as teams and collaborating, sharpening the saw, putting first things first. And then we also have our possum roles, where we pretty much tell the kids, do the right thing even when no one is watching.
That's cool.
And that's a big thing. When we talk about acceptance and being kind and caring to each other, we're learning that we are unique individuals. There are certain traits that we have that are very similar, and there are certain traits that are very different, and that's the beauty of our Blair Mill family. We love the diversity. So when we can learn to accept, tolerate each other, sometimes, people can get on your nerves and they do things, but we learn how do we then share, how do we communicate using our words, kind words, not saying nasty things to each other, not the push or the little kick, that we want to recognize that we are all very special. We want to look at the glass as half full, look at a situation that we can solve the conflict in a caring, kind way. And so the Acceptance Day is a celebration of that. This year in particular was very exciting because we involved some of our community helpers. We had the American Red Cross share about what to do in disasters and how to reach out and be there for each other. We also had Aldersgate, and we had Mrs. Fedina teaching about Marvelous Me, Marvelous You, and we had the Montgomery County Department of Health. And each shared with the children how special they are and how unique we are, and that living together on this one planet, how we have to care for each other, care for our planet, and this peace, love, and harmony. And that's what we're constantly preaching at Blair Mill.
You're right, it's so important that every day becomes that lesson, and so important. I know when we get them here at the high school, if they've had that training, they've had that foundation, that base, they're better citizens when they get here because they understand that global approach to things. So, kudos to you at that level to have them understand that even from when they're very, very small. Along that same line, something else that's very important for them to know is, in case of emergency, what do you do? As you know, all of our schools in March, we were involved in an emergency drill in the district to where the superintendent chose this is going to be as real as we can make it. But here at the high school, we had an evacuation. We got everyone out within, I think, 30, 40 minutes, an entire large building. That's good because you have mature, older students who get it. At the elementary level, I was mind-boggled that, okay, we're going to do the same thing at the elementary level. How do you manage a situation like that with little kids that, okay, this is serious, and in case of emergency, this is how it would be, and not freak them out? How do you do that?
Exactly, and I have to share that it's called practice with a purpose. We have numerous drills throughout the years. We connect with parents to talk about the drills, so preparedness at home so they can have conversations with their children. We talk about it at school. There are some drills where we let the children know that they are happening and how it will play out. Other drills are a surprise, and I think with the continued practice, the children get it, and they understand in a case of emergency, it's important that they remain calm and quiet and listen to directions. We have a fantastic staff And I was not there for this emergency drill that we did district-wide,
right.
but we first had a severe weather drill, and then they threw in the kicker that we had damage to the building and we had to evacuate.
Okay.
So all 407 students and staff members had to leave the building.
Okay.
The thing is, we usually leave through the back doors,
right.
where we can meet in the back parking lot, but for this drill, there was damage and we could not use those exits. So with the quick thinking of our lead, that was Chris Fedina, our guidance counselor. She was the person in charge since I was not there. She was able to give the directions. She was the command until the police arrived. And you can see that the children were cooperative, they were listening, they recognized that it is important that they respond appropriately during a drill. Mrs. Fedina remained calm. We had the use of walkies, so communication was clear, and it was a successful drill.
And how the confidence must just exude from you, knowing that, okay, I'm not there. I mean, because honestly, you have to be honest with this. If a kid sees Mrs. Dougherty, life is good. I see the principal, everything's gonna be okay, I'll follow her because you know that's the principal. You know, the chips fall, I know the principal is. You're not there. Almost, that would have been a great drill on top of it. I don't know if it was intentional or not, probably not, but at the same time, now what? I don't see Mrs. Dougherty, and yet everything just works out.
I can't tell you how proud I was
Sure.
of all of the students and the staff. It went seamlessly. It was just fantastic. I know that they were safe, that if there was a true emergency, things would roll out, and that sends a message to me that I'm doing something right as far as being a leader in the building, sharing leadership with the staff and with students. It's a beautiful thing.
And listen, I'm a father of four. I know that if I'm watching this and my kid goes to Blair Mill or any of the other schools involved in that drill, I feel better because I'm watching that going, my kid's going to be all right. If God forbid something happens, my kid's going to be okay.
Right. And that's that safety piece of our mission.
Right.
And you can see it's working.
Let's move on to Math 24. Math 24, you had some award winners this year. Why don't we spotlight them a little bit?
Math 24 was very exciting across the district. I have to say that we did introduce First in Math in all of our schools, which is an online math program. And the children were working with Math 24, so they had a little inkling as to what it would be all about. This year, Simmons expanded the program to include all of the elementary schools, and I have to say we were very proud that we had a 4th grade in our semifinals and a 5th grade in our semifinals. Shrey Patel represented 5th grade and went on, and you can see on the stage the children there. You see Erin Chifis, she represented our 4th graders, and I have to say she was actually the grand finalist for 4th grade. We could not have been more proud.
Wow.
As we were looking at the cards where they have 4 numbers, what you have to do is actually use all 4 numbers to then come up with the answer of 24. For some of the students, I could not look at the numbers quickly enough before they were already giving the solutions and all the operations. So there we have Shrey. We couldn't be more proud. Way to go, Shrey. And Erin, representing 4th grade, they did a tremendous job. We're excited about the First in Math program. We're going to continue with that next year.
Right.
We also at our school, to encourage the children to keep working on their computation skills, we have them doing the online, earning stickers. We have a beautiful trophy, and at the end of each week we make sure that one of the classrooms, they earn keeping the trophy in their classroom. Kids earn pencils and bracelets and backpacks according to how many stickers they earn. So it's very exciting. And we always say the more practice with your computation skills, the better you'll be at it. And Shrey and Erin are perfect examples.
Yeah, I'm a perfect example the opposite way. I think I've admitted almost every week that I do this show that math was never my thing. I have no problem with that. English,
but
reading,
communications.
and communications, I'm absolutely there.
Right.
And that's why I'm doing this, and that's why math is never my thing. Proof is in this next story. You are urging these kids to read 1,000,000 minutes or more. When I knew I had to do this story, I was sitting there literally, like the Math 24 kids would have just wiped me up, because I'm sitting there going, all right, how long is that really? I still don't know. It's a lot. So you encourage kids to read a lot.
We sure do.
Tell me more about that.
You know what? We say reading takes you everywhere. Research does show that the more reading a child does, the better they'll do in their school performance.
Right.
And so for some students, they have a natural love for reading.
Yep.
Others need a little bit of encouragement. And this Million-Minute Reading Challenge does it. Miss O'Leary this year wrote a grant through the Hatboro-Horsham Education Foundation, and we were able to entice the kids with reaching that goal by saying that we would take a trip back in time. We actually had a time machine, and Gary Lloyd, a renowned storyteller, came and actually came out of the time machine and shared stories from the past. As you can see, we not only reached the million-minute goal,
wow,
but we surpassed it. And there you can see the time machine.
Nice.
Miss O'Leary is revving it up, pressing the buttons.
And the big moment.
Working the magic. We did a drum roll.
And? Come on now.
And
oh,
there's Mr. Lloyd, the storyteller.
Very
The
cool.
kids sat in awe. It was amazing how we had 2 assemblies and that there would be 200 children in each assembly, and you did not hear a peep. They were spellbound, so it was really very exciting. The children are also working on a time capsule. We have been looking at artifacts from a time capsule from over 25 years ago, and they are creating their own time capsule so that they can then bury that, and hopefully in 25 years, people, other community members, they may look back and say, wow, how things have changed.
well, we didn't disappoint. As we always say, you know, there's, what's your slogan about the mill?
There's always something happening at the mill.
That's right, and that's true. This show captured a handful of things, but there's so much more there too. Nancy, always a pleasure. And as always, let HHTV know when you need coverage of something, you want us to show up those cameras. I think it always helps people see what's inside those walls, and just what a great thing that you've created for them, your teachers, your staff, and your students, just paying off on that mission of Hatboro-Horsham of really developing those characteristics of what we want our children to be like. So
Terrific.
we appreciate that.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'm always glad to talk about the Blair Mill family. Very dear to my heart.
Absolutely. Well, this is our final Principles of Learning for this academic school year, and as always, we always want to thank all the principals who take the time to come into our studios and appear on the show and talk about something they're very passionate about, their kids. We hope that we're able to gain a new perspective on these principles and the things that they do, but also the teachers and the students and the staff that navigate through a very busy school year. For all of us here at HHTV, thank you for watching and making our programs part of your life and for filling your families with us and what we do, our students, our staff, and all the things that we do. For all of us here at HHTV, thank you for watching.